Shalom Aleichem, we're learning the Sicha of Boy Aleph. It's a heavy Sicha. In other words, very technical. It's interesting that this Sicha is repeated verbatim with a few edits in Chelik Chaf Beis of the Sichas in Hisafis. If you open the Hisafis of Chelik Chaf Beis on page 229, you will find the Sicha all over again. In Hebrew, with a few edits, it's called Matuda Basta. Very similar to what we learned. But I think before we go to the Sicha, it's important to have a few points. Now, I'm not an astronomer and I don't get it fully, but I think it's important to just clarify a little more than what's in the Sicha, the difference between Tekufa Shmuel and Tekufa Rav Ado. So that when we understand the Sicha, we understand what's going on. It all boils down to Gemara and Eruvin, Daf Nun Vav, and other places throughout Shas. Basically, there's a lunar calendar and there's a solar calendar. The lunar calendar based on the moon is not really a year. There's no such a thing as a year because it's only a monthly cycle. In the solar calendar, the sun, there is no such a thing as a month. Really, it's mainly just a year and a day. So some cultures only follow the moon, or Eastern cultures, and some cultures in the West follow just the sun. And Yiddishkeit, like often, creates a hybrid. Now, for the sake of the Sicha, we're focusing more on the Shnas HaChama, the solar year. So there are 365 days in the year, in the solar year, and it's split into 4. Each of the 4, if you do the math, is 91 days plus a little bit. 91 times 4 is 364, and then you have the extra days, so you split it in a certain way. Now, each of these 4 is called a Tekufa, an era, an epoch. Now, the first day of each quarter is called a Yom HaTekufa. Now, what are the Tekufas? The Tekufas are known as Tekufas Tishrei, Teves, Nisan, and Tammuz, basically every 3 months. Now, because it's a solar calendar, and Tekufas follow the seasons don't follow them, because again, remember, the lunar calendar doesn't have a year, it only has a month. There's no such thing as a season of the moon. The moon just goes on its cycle, month by month. So we're going to use secular dates because that's what it is. It's following the secular solar calendar. So the shortest day of the year is the 21st of December in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm recording in the Southern Hemisphere. But in the Northern Hemisphere, the shortest day is the 21st of December. The longest day of the year is 6 months later on the 21st of June. The equinox, the day that everything is exactly perfectly equal, one is heading towards the summer, one's coming out of the summer, is the 21st of March, and the other one is the 23rd of September. So the 3 of them are the 21st, and in September it's on the 23rd. That's the equal day. Now, when you have Tekufas Nisan after Tesvav Nisan, in other words, when Tekufas Nisan, which is the spring, is not starting on Rosh Chodesh, but rather it's starting 15 days later. So now the first day of Pesach is no longer in the season, in the Tekufa of Nisan, but rather it's still in the aftermath. It's the end of Tekufas Teves. Then you need an Iber Shana, you need to add a month, which is what we're doing this year to make sure that Pesach will be on the right time. In simple English, I just checked the calendar. This year, Pesach is going to start on the 15th of April. Okay? 16th of April. Now, if we did not add the month, it would be a month earlier, and that would be the 15th, 16th of March. Remember, Tekufas Nisan starts on the 21st of March. So it would be a week before the previous Tekufa ends. So therefore, you need to add a month. So now we're bouncing out of it. We're no longer at in the middle half of March. We're now deep into April. So Pesach is falling out in the time that it was necessary to. It's falling out in the Tekufa of Nisan, because remember, Tekufas Nisan doesn't start on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. It starts on the solar calendar. It starts on the 21st of March. So therefore, it's important for us to understand. So the four seasons start on the 21st of December, the 21st of June, the longest day and the shortest day and the longest day, and on the 2 days that it's equal, the 21st of March and the 23rd of September. So fine. So that's why we have a Ibur Shana. That's why we add a month to the year, like we're doing in this year, Tafshin Pei Beis. Now, there are two tekufas. There's two ways of calculating, because remember we said 365 days split into 4. So what is it exactly? So Tekufa Shmuel is from the first generation of Amiloim. He's the first generation, and a Chaved of Gab, etc., and a doctor. So his argument is that the full year is 365 days, 6 complete hours, and therefore each Tekufa, based on the math, will be 91 days and 7.5 hours. 7.5, 15, 30 times 4 is 30, which is exactly 24 hours, the extra day plus 6 hours. It's a convenient math, but it's not exact. Then there's Kufas Rav Ada, a student of Rav's. He's one generation lower. What Rav Ada says, it's not brought in the Gemara, but the Rambam quotes it, that it is 365 days, 997 chalakim, and 48 regaim. So, in simple English, average tekufa will be, according to Rav Ada, 91 days, 7 hours, but not extra 30 minutes, but rather 519 chalakim and 31 regaim. If you do the math, Rav Ada is a little shorter. Each tekufa is a little shorter. It's 1 minute and 10 seconds shorter than Shmuel. So it's 70 seconds shorter, based on the mathematics of how long a chelik is and how long a rega is. Each chelik has 76 regaim. I'm not going to do the math, and I'm an alternate, so I'm not even going to overtry. But the point is that the math is about 70 seconds. It's 20 chalakim, which is 70 seconds shorter. So that means over a year, that will be 280 seconds difference between the two of them. And as the years boil down, it could be quite extended. Now, on the most part, we follow Rav Ada, but there's two things that we follow according to tradition, according to Messiah, we follow the cheshbon of Shmuel. Number one, when we start asking for rain in Chutz La'aretz, Shishim Yom Achrei Tekufas Tishrei, 60 days after Tekufas Tishrei. So remember, we said that Tekufas Tishrei starts on the 23rd of September, and 60 days later is when we do the Sheila of Shaman. Sorry, as I'm giving the shir, I'm realizing how many questions I have, but it's explained that according to halacha, September 21st is not reckoned as the day of the equinox. Rather, it occurs on October 7th or 8th. And therefore, 60 days into the equinox is the 5th or 6th. But basically, like as I was saying, I was like, 1 second. How could it be 60 days in if we said the equinox is the 23rd of September? And the answer is because it's been, according to halacha, we say that it's on the 7th or 8th. I'm not sure I could fully explain that. As you can see, it's quite a heavy subject. But basically, this is discussed in kindness, Yud Amid Aleph. Anyways, the point is that's the baseline of the Sicha, the idea of the Tekufas. And the other thing that's done according to Shmuel is Birchas Hachama. Birchas Hachama is every 28 years. When the Tekufa happens, that's exactly on the day that Hashem created, which is on a Wednesday. At the moment that the Tekufa changes and it's at the right exact same time, we make a special basically every 28 years, Tekufas Nisan happens exactly the way it was at creation, at the eve of Wednesday night, Tuesday night. And therefore, because it was exactly according to creation, according to the opinion that the world was created in Nisan, therefore you make Birchas Hachama. So it's a lot of assumptions over there, but we make Birchas Hachama. The last time we did it was in Tafshin Samach Tes. So we're now in Tafshin Pei Beis. We're about halfway through to the next Birchas Hachama. Interesting, this Sicha that we're learning was a Birchas Hachama Sicha. It was the first Birchas Hachama that Rabbi sees. Tafshin Yud Gimel, that the day after Pesach is when they did Birchas Hachama. And therefore the Rebbe dedicated the Sicha, and in it he went into the whole Kiddush HaChodesh, etc., as we learned in the Sicha.